Dear Mom and Dad, I wanted to write you a letter. I didn't want to send it as it was. I wanted to speak from the heart. I am going to reference it, but I'm going to speak from the heart. This is going to be all raw and real in me. This is going to be the hardest letter I've ever written, as well as the hardest letter you'll ever read. Before I begin, I want to apologize for the pain I've caused you over the years. I know I've done things and said things that I shouldn't have, and I apologize, and I'm sorry that I hurt you, truly. But I finally know why things have been the way they've been, why I've done what I've done, and I want to share that with you. I know what I'm about to say goes against everything you think you know about me and everything you believe in general. I hope that you can find some way to forgive who I was, because who I was is not who I am. There's always been something inside me that wasn't able or willing to look at or to truly examine. But it's always been there. Always. I want to stress that because I don't want you to think this is because of something external or out of the blue or some kind of phase, because it's not. I'm not who you thought you knew. I'm not who I thought I was. The truth is that I am not Erica Jean. I'm not even a woman. I'm a man, and my name is Kevyn Beauregard, and I know your gut reaction right now, but just stay with me. I am transgender. I have never belonged in my body, ever. I don't know why things are the way they are. I can't say that. I don't know the science. I don't know any of that stuff, but I do know that it's true and that it's finally right. It's finally good. Something in my life is finally the way it's supposed to be. It is. I know one of your questions is going to be, how do you know? And I want to address that right away. But to do that, I have to go back, way back to the beginning, to where I can remember. I always remember feeling something wasn't right with me. I just felt wrong. I didn't know what or why. I just felt wrong. I felt like I was a mistake. I felt like my existence, my whole life was a mistake. From as far back as I can possibly remember. At a young age, I realized I didn't like my voice. I thought it was too high-pitched, and I trained myself to lower it when I sang. I was maybe 7 years old. I was singing in church, and instead of raising my pitch, I first tried a normal speaking voice, and then I tried over the years lower I don't remember a lot else from my early childhood. I remember hating being a girl. I remember wishing I'd been born a boy. I remember preferring the company of boys. I remember wanting to be like them. I remember going into your room and putting on Dad's cologne. I remember when he would shave, he would put shaving cream on me and Kurt, and he would teach us to shave it off with the caps on, and I liked that. Little things like that. What I remember most of all began with puberty. I remember intense embarrassment about my body. I remember wishing I could take a butcher knife and cut off my breasts. I remember fantasizing about things like that. I thought about it a lot. I got so distraught and livid and just traumatized when I got my period. I was angry, embarrassed, terrified. I felt like God had failed me in a way by making me female, by making me have a period at all. Everything about it was just completely awful. Just completely awful. So as I'm sure you noticed, I began to masculinize. I lowered my voice. I trained myself to walk less femininely. I dressed in boys' clothes. I eventually cut my hair short. In fact, I was so desperate to have short hair that I took scissors and did it myself. I fantasized about being male. I created male characters in my head and on paper and in video games. I was really desperate. When I was 18, I fell in love with a man and repressed myself because it made him happy. I re-feminized. I started wearing makeup, carrying a purse, wearing women's clothes, regular bras, stuff like that. I liked the positive attention I got, both sexual and non-sexual, from both him and others. I liked that people stopped making fun of me. I remember once being called it as a kid. I liked that people weren't doing that kind of thing anymore. When I did all these things to re-feminize, I repressed myself so deeply that I stopped feeling what's called dysphoria and started feeling depression. And depression that seemed to have no cause, nothing behind it. And that was the worst part. The worst part of the depression that I've felt over the years has been just not knowing why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Just to want to die all the time and not know why. Even when everything was good, even when everything was right, I felt that way. And I was so frustrated. So I did that for 10 years. And I was miserable at least 90% of the time. I was so unhappy that I thought I could never, ever, ever be happy. When I started dating my wife, I learned a lot about transgender issues. A lot of what she said sounded familiar. I still didn't really think I was trans. I kind of played with the idea a little, but never really in any seriousness. I just kind of was like, oh, haha, what if I was? But she was the only one that ever told me that she would love me no matter what, even if I was a man. Over the months, I thought about it more. Mostly I thought about thinking about it more than I actually let myself think about it. I never let myself examine it. But I slowly let the pressure continue to build. On July 11th, 2019, my wife said something to me, and I don't remember what she said. It was some kind of lighthearted joke about if I was trans or if I was a guy or something cute and funny and very much her style. It wasn't anything grand or enlightening. It was just her talking. And I kind of thought about it again. I guess I decided to... I'd been looking at the gender door, and I decided to crack it open. Things had been seeping under the cracks for years, and I never let myself look at it or think about it, but I finally decided to crack the door open, and all the pressure that had built up from 29 years of repression forced it wide open, and everything just came rushing out. I suddenly became extremely dysphoric again. Throughout the morning, I let myself really look at it, really examine it, take the things that had spilled out of that door and hold them and touch them and feel them. And I finally came to the conclusion that it was true. We went out and got me some men's clothes, a wallet, body wash, shampoo, deodorant, cologne, all that. Each time I expected it to be weird, like, this one's gonna be weird. If nothing else was weird, this one's gonna be weird. But it never was. Everything was amazing. Everything I tried was amazing. When I finally put on or used these things, it was just pure euphoria. Pure euphoria. I was ecstatic. I was happier than I'd ever been in my life, ever. There was also another feeling that I had never ever felt. I had never experienced this. I had no concept of it. I had no label for it. I didn't know what it was. I spent the first couple days going, what is this feeling? What is this feeling? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's good. I don't get it. I don't get it. Because I never had it. I'd never known it. And finally, I was laying in bed in the middle of the night, and I realized that feeling was peace. I had never felt that before. In 29 years, I had never, ever felt not a sliver of peace, ever. And suddenly I was just overwhelmed with it. Overwhelmed completely. And honestly, that's what I used to pray for as a kid, back when I believed in God, with all my heart and all my soul and all my being, everything in me. I just prayed for peace. The Bible promised a peace that passes understanding, and I wanted that, but I never had it. I never felt it. It was always just out of reach. But suddenly it was my reality. Suddenly and finally. There's a song lyric that goes, I am due for a miracle. I am waiting for a sign. I'll stare straight into the sun, and I won't close my eyes till I understand or go blind. I finally know what those lyrics meant. I finally got my miracle. I got my sign. I had stared straight into the sun, and I hadn't closed my eyes, and I hadn't gone blind. I'd understood. Finally, everything fit. Now, I wonder if God hadn't been trying to answer my prayers all along. Maybe all that time he was beating me over the head with depression, anxiety, failed relationships, etc., to try and get me to see what I needed, but I was dense. I was too dense to get it. Regardless, I hope that you'll accept me. I know that's going to be hard for you. I do have some hope, though. I do have hope. I hope you can find it in your hearts to forgive me for the awful person I've been and the awful ways that I've treated you over the years, especially when I was underage. But I didn't know who I was. Starting now, I expect you to call me by my real name, Kevyn. I expect you to use my pronouns, which are he, him, his. Refusal to do so will force me, unfortunately, to go no contact with you. I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't. I really don't. I don't expect anyone to be perfect. All my friends have slipped up. My wife has slipped up. And it's an adjustment. It is. It's something that we all have to get used to. I've slipped up with myself. But I do expect you to make an honest effort. It's the only way that we can have a relationship. Please remember that I love you both very much, and I hope you love me enough to respect my wishes in this regard. Love, Kevyn Beauregard Rebeker. And to anybody out there that may be watching this, that maybe you're still in the closet, maybe you're not, maybe you're out, but you're struggling. I want you to know that it's going to be okay. there is hope. There is hope. And I want you to know that.